Hello there, welcome along. This is Business Connections Live and another great night for you. It is program number 60. Great to have you with us as always. Now I've got a great guest lined up this evening. My guest on tonight's program is Angus Grady of Optimised Media. And we're going to be talking about LinkedIn. Let's just say it a few times so that we really get it into our head. LinkedIn, LinkedIn, LinkedIn. It could be, and probably is, one of the most powerful tools that you as a small to medium scale enterprise, a small business actually has to exploit and to use. However, so many people do not understand how to use LinkedIn. They don't understand the power of it. And many people are just members or they're on LinkedIn and they don't really realise how they can actually turn that membership, if you want to call it that, into something that's going to be profitable for their business. As I said, my guest this evening is Angus Grady of Optimised Media. Angus, lovely to have you with us.
Thank you very much for asking me. Lovely to be here.
And of course, LinkedIn, a very, very powerful tool. But just tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, my background, I've come from an advertising agency background. Years ago, I ran a wine bar in Covent Garden, and lots of advertising folk used to come into that wine bar, and then it was suggested that I join a small marketing agency, which I did. And from there, I then went on to run like the knowledge departments for people like TBWA, Bates Dorland, some quite good agencies. And that was fantastic, and that's my background. Knowledge. I ran what was called like the knowledge department, so it was kind of information based, and it was if we were actually pitching for a brand, they'd come to me and say, right, next week we need to know all about this product, this market, and these people.
So really you actually get then what people are talking about. You understand from the marketing background.
Totally.
You understand how important the whole world of just getting out there and telling people about you is. And I think sometimes people don't really understand the difference between pure marketing and sales. And I always liken it, I've said this story before, I always see marketing very much as a case of taking the horse to water, and sales is making the horse drink. So that's my kind of way of kind of the analogy that we have of how it works. But understanding marketing that then transfers into sales and how you generate all those horses to get them to the water is a very difficult thing. A lot of people don't get that, do they?
I think a lot of people think that, well, there are kind of two aspects to this. You can either go prospecting, where you're not spending any money to actually buy ads like, you know, for Google AdWords or for Facebook advertising or for advertising here on like LinkedIn. So there's prospecting, where it's kind of essentially free, it's your time. It's not free, but or you actually go and buy those ads. And I think that the great thing about LinkedIn, you can spend money on LinkedIn, for instance, but you can also do an awful lot of prospecting across social media where you kind of interrogate the noise.
I alluded to it at the very beginning. I think a lot of people get very enthusiastic for the likes of social media, be it LinkedIn, be it maybe Twitter. And they'll set up their Twitter account and they're never off it for the first 2 days. Yeah. And then maybe on the third day it gets, you know, they're not quite as busy. And maybe by the fourth, fifth or sixth day, Twitter, what's that then? Or LinkedIn, what's that then? And there is this kind of feeling that sometimes that people just, if you don't continue with it, you're not going to get or see any benefit from it.
I think you have to engage with these social media platforms now. You can't ignore them. I mean, everyone's talking about how marketing has changed. Old school marketing no longer applies. I disagree with that. But I think that basically you've kind of got to engage with these social media platforms, and one of the things I talk about all the time with all of my clients is that it's not about broadcasting often, it's about listening. And you know, on the back of my business card I've got a great thing. It says you know, that no man ever listened himself out of a job. And I think that what tends to happen is that people think that you can broadcast willy-nilly on all these social media, you know, sort of platforms, and you're going to get some sort of traction.
Do you think there is too high an expectation from people who use the social platforms? Are they expecting too much from it and therefore they go away disillusioned very quickly? Yes, I tried LinkedIn, didn't work for me.
Yeah. It's a bit like eternal love. It's the longest afternoon of your life that people get involved with kind of Twitter, and the expectation is huge, and often they're kind of missold what it's all about. And putting up a tweet with a link in it is great, but if you're not tracking what's happening to that link, then you've got no way of measuring, and all marketing is about measuring. There's no point spending £1 million on something. I mean, I can't remember quite who said it, but famous quote. So half of my advertising works. I don't know which half. But now, in this day and age, that's madness. That's madness.
And of course, you should be able to track it. You should be able to track.
You should be able to do everything. If you know that you've paid £100, you want to know how many people have come to your website and what they've bought and what they haven't bought. Because most people out there now, things have changed. People are coming to your website looking for a solution. They've already asked Google the question, and they've come up with some options. So Google comes up with some options, and one of them might be my website. They might go to that. They might look to see, does it answer my question? Does it solve my pain? And a lot of the time, there's nothing for people to do when they get to somebody's website. It's like inviting everyone to a party, and then you get there and you say, oh, and they say, well, here's my website. And what do we do now? I'm going to go to somewhere else. Because I think I read somewhere that I think most people hang around on a website for 8 seconds. And
that is frightening, isn't it?
And
all the work that goes into it. And of course, what we have websites that are very they are themselves centric, aren't they?
Yeah.
So we've been, and we once again, it seems to be the same mantra. We've been established 500 years.
Yeah,
we've got 50 employees.
Yeah.
We've got 400 trucks, and I don't give a damn because do you make the widgets that I'm looking for?
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes I think there is this happy medium, isn't there, between boasting about your successes, and the homepage is not the place to be doing it.
It's not the place to be doing it. And your website should be like a Venus flytrap. It should be a Venus flytrap for leads. You get to your site, and if there's not an opt-in form, which I have to say on my homepage there's not at the moment, because long story, but there are other opt-in forms on there. If there's no clear call to action, so if you haven't got an opt-in form, no clear call to action, if there's no route to product, basically, then you're wasting your time.
We're talking predominantly about LinkedIn, and
Yeah.
I know social media in the larger scale of things. But talking about LinkedIn, what do you think the biggest mistakes are that people make when it comes to using LinkedIn? Is it the fact that they think they're using it but they're not?
Well, this programme's only on for an hour, so I'll have to think.
Right.
I think that basically people, if you ask a room full of people if they're on LinkedIn, they'll all say, yeah, of course I am, and like it's some sort of badge of honour. But the biggest mistake is that they get there and they don't do anything with it. So they don't ever get their profile optimised, and it's about the F words. Unfortunately, it's about being found and being able to find people. I was
coming out with a cold sweat there for a second.
I should have run that past you. But basically, it is about the F words, being found and being able to find the people that you want to be doing business with. It's a great prospecting tool. It's a great tool for people to find you. So if I was looking for a marketing director with a certain amount of experience or in a certain sector, I'd use kind of LinkedIn to do that.
But of course, LinkedIn was originally for that, wasn't it? It was a recruitment tool.
It was a recruitment tool.
And it really has changed. Some people say that it's Facebook on steroids for business. And to a certain extent, it nearly went that way, and it seems to have pulled back a little bit, because there were people that I would see that would be posting things on Facebook that were very much personal, social things, and then there were people who were posting exactly the same things. It was, once again, this badge of honour. Look at how many people now are following me on LinkedIn. And it was kind of devaluing what LinkedIn was all about, that it was business to business, not friends to friends.
And I agree entirely. There was, the whole, I think that LinkedIn kind of fueled that as well, by they were emailing people to say, hi Steve, you're in the top 1%. And then people would put on their LinkedIn, I've just been told I'm on the top 1%. Hang on a minute, but that's everybody. There was quite, so people started to use it and still do. They still overpost. You know, I mean, how many posts can you read from a person every day? You know, I mean, how much information can you actually retain? How much information do you want to see?
How important is LinkedIn in your business to developing and growing your business and generating leads? How important is it to you, and is it working for you?
Well, my business is creating leads on LinkedIn for people. So it's incredibly important for me, and it's incredibly important for all my clients, because that's essentially what I do for people. So I do LinkedIn training, and then hopefully from the training phase we will then start discussing about how I can then help them on their business development journey.
You know that you sometimes see this, and this isn't a question to catch you out, it's just a thought that's gone through my empty old head while we're sitting here. You do get there are a lot of people out there that can do the talk. You can go to many of the business shows up and down the country, and you'll have keynote speakers who are doing the talk. And if you question them, not many of them are doing the walk. And so you've got people who will tell you what you should be doing, but they're not doing it themselves. So are you generating leads for your business yourself?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I'd be silly to be sitting here and saying otherwise. I mean, I use it daily, and I contact people, and I have that whole process that I then put onto the clients that I work with. And it's about engaging, it's about finding the people, it's about doing the searching, it's about finding a group of people, working out who your target market is. Because that's one of the big mistakes that people have. They go, I want some new clients. And you think, well, okay, who is your ideal sector? And a lot of the time people will just go, well, anyone with a business really. And that's like, as someone said, a product for everybody is a product for nobody. You know, you have to kind of target what you do. So I now look at, I kind of work with business coaches, I work with professional people like accountants. So those are my target market.
All right, now listen, if you're just joining us for the first time right now and you're thinking, who is this bloke? His name is Angus Grady from Customized Media. You can find out all the information if you go to our website at businessconnectionslive.com. Also, you can be part of the conversation as well if you want this evening. By the way, there's the web address sitting on the screen. You can be part of the conversation if you just go and follow us on Twitter. You can actually Twitter in there. There's something that Angus put up earlier on. See, that's my Twitter handle there. Silver Fox Island, great show tonight. Don't miss it. The Power, Angus Grady, Business Connections, Wednesday 6 o'clock. Now, if that has taken you to the programme and you're watching tonight and you want to be involved and you actually want to send maybe a question over to Angus, maybe there's something about using LinkedIn that you think to yourself, that's just slightly confusing. I don't really get that. Maybe the questions are like, what is the power of groups? Has it changed recently? Because LinkedIn is an evolving program. It is changing on an ongoing basis. So is it changing to your business's disadvantage, or are the changes actually going to help your business grow maybe those potential clients that are just sitting there? We've talked to other we've talked to other LinkedIn experts rather, and of course what they're saying is that by using it intelligently, you can actually very quickly put together a true proper marketing database of people who want to hear what you're talking about. And surely that's the kind of thing that you're trying to develop, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. You can. There's little point going out of your front door and just shouting, "This is what I do." You need to be talking to the people who actually want your service,
who give a damn,
and who basically you can solve whatever their problem is, whatever their issues are. Then they should be coming to you to actually sort of help them. Solve all of those problems. And that's where I come back to find and found, because if somebody's looking for a particular service and you've written your profile correctly and you've got it set up correctly, then they are going to do a search and they are going to find you.
It really is as powerful as that. And what we're going to do, we're going to look at your profile. We're going to look at the way you can use groups or can't, because groups have changed recently as well, haven't they?
In terms of connections.
In the way you can connect. They're still powerful though, aren't they? They're probably one of the most powerful things that LinkedIn has. And also some of those hidden secrets. If you've been sitting there and you think, do you know what, all these names that are coming up, all these top executives, I'd love to be able to market to them. Well, maybe LinkedIn is going to be at least the beginning, an approach that you can actually use. And Angus is going to take us to his website very shortly. We're going to have a look at what he can do online, and maybe you can emulate some of the different techniques and the different skills that he's already got. No pressure then.
No pressure, no
pressure.
Don't worry.
And who knows, tomorrow you could well be, as Rodney says, we could all be millionaires, Rodney. All right, then let's take a bit of a look back at what happened on last week's programme. We're staying in the realms of social media a teeny-weeny bit, but probably more importantly, we were looking at NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. What do people mean when they're saying certain things, the way they anchor themselves, you know, making yourself feel big when you're actually talking to somebody, the words that you use, in conversation, are they persuasive, the words that you use? All those kind of things were covered on last week's programme. We had the fantastic Nikki Creel in with us, and just to give you a bit of a reminder of what happened on last week's programme, here's last week's edition of Business Connections Live. Now, I want you just for a moment to look into my eyes. Not around the eyes, but look into my eyes. Our guest tonight is Nikki Creel, and she's talking about NLP and the power of words. In fact, she says it's all in the eyes. In fact, it's all in the eyes, it's all in the words that you use. In fact, it's in your complete body posture as well. NLP is something we all do inadvertently. We don't realise we do it. But how do you harness the power of NLP in the business world?
When I learned how to do NLP, I actually thought, okay, I'm going to learn this skill and I'm then going to use it, you know, sort of to do a business. And I didn't actually think of the personal development side that I would get. I just hadn't crossed my mind. It was something I was going to learn and then do to other people rather than actually developing yourself. And one thing as an entrepreneur or business person, your state of mind is so important for being successful in business, because if you're feeling down and you can't pick up the phone, you're not going to get any business. Generally, you're not that aware of your body language, so you do it subconsciously. And you can almost tell when somebody's got an issue, they're almost holding themselves in a different way, or your shoulders will come in. And I know somebody was watching me and I was actually making myself smaller. And he said, you need to watch the program, and there's a fabulous TED talk that I'm going to recommend, which is Amy Cuddy, and she talks about using your body language and how changing your body language, it's like changing it actually makes a difference to the way you feel. You pick up things whether it's conscious or unconscious. So quite often, if somebody says something and their tone is not right, so even though they might be saying the right words, you pick up that they don't actually mean what they're saying. Well, I think the first thing is to acknowledge a person and get to where they are at. So if they're having a really bad day, acknowledge that they're having a bad day. There's nothing worse than if you're feeling really down and somebody comes in, yes, life is exciting, it's wonderful. You have to actually be almost in a worse mood because they're not paying attention to you. So you almost need to match where that person is, but obviously you don't want to.
You don't want to go all the way down. No, you've got to pull them up a wee bit.
Yeah, you've got to pull them up a little bit. If you're selling a car, not a car salesperson, if somebody talks about seeing, you would then show them the car. If they're talking about sound, if they're auditory, you might rev up the engine or switch on the engine so they can actually hear the sound of the engine. And obviously if they're kinesthetic, you might talk about the leather seats.
Feel this.
Feel the leather. Yeah.
Now it's interesting.
And take it for a drive, so you actually have the
feeling. So you've got the feel of it.
In fact, if you're feeling, I think it's noticing your body, because quite often you're unaware of what your body's doing, and simple things like pulling your shoulders back and making yourself bigger. Things like
is
power.
That threatening?
What happens when people win races?
They do that.
They do that automatically. So they're either like that, or that's an automatic reaction. Even blind people do this. And if you stand like this for a while, just even 30 seconds to a minute, you actually feel more powerful by doing that. So just changing your position can actually make you feel different. I
like that. She'll remember that. So that's making ourselves feel bigger. Some of us are bigger already. So don't need to do that. We're too big as it is. And what about is the one to make you smaller?
Well, I think it's also like noticing and trying out different body positions, because some people naturally are quite laid back. And sometimes by trying a different position, you actually puts you in a different state of mind.
All right.
And it's worth testing out different positions. Other people tend to be upright. I'm quite a visual person, and I tend to have my head up. I talk quite quickly. people can
You lead with your chin.
I lead with my chin. Whereas some people are very quiet and tend to speak slowly, and it's worth getting into somebody else's shoes to actually experience the world. Well, with NLP, I think the main thing is to remember that your mindset affects how effective you are in business, and really about you want to develop relationships with people, and the more you can develop yourself as a person and think of the other person and put yourself in their shoes, it will help with relationships. And questions are really powerful. If you ask the right ones, you get a lot of information from people when you do that.
Last week's programme, great show as well, so fantastic. All right then, let's get down to the nitty gritty then of what you should be doing with your LinkedIn, and that's what this is all about. Angus Grady of Customised is my guest this evening. Now Angus, we were going into profiles. Let's have a little look at the profile that you've got there on your screen. And this is your profile.
This is my profile, and I've optimised it, which means that I've got keywords running through the sort of headline area here, and basically those are what people will be searching for. That's a key area to be searching. So I do LinkedIn training, I do social selling, I help people to use things like LinkedIn, the internet, and also all social media to generate source leads, for lead generation, to source leads, people and opportunities. So it kind of explains what I do straight away. There's no mystery. I am not a used car salesman. That's exactly what I do.
And that's what's so important. I think a lot of people don't realise, do they, that what you're looking for is that keyword rich thing. And of course this goes back to the whole world of maybe optimising your web pages as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And people forget that their web page and their LinkedIn profile should at some point be semi-congruent. So you should really be thinking about what keywords are there that I've got on my web page. What is it that I do? Why do people go there? For more or less the same reasons you want people to be able to find you here on LinkedIn using keywords.
Now, but sometimes though, what you do find is that people will try to make a page keyword rich.
They do, yeah.
By just putting gobbledygook in there. So Google will actually pick that up when it's looking at your website. It will realise that this isn't actually the normal way that people speak, to a certain extent, as much as artificial intelligence can do. It's the same kind of protection, the same kind of thing in LinkedIn?
Not nearly as much, and I think it should be policed more, because people add into their summary area down here.
Let's have a look at that.
Which is your summary area here. So basically, this is about your value proposition, about what you do, what pain you solve, how you address things, what you do essentially for people. And what people tend to do down the bottom here is they tend to put a whole load of specialities, and it will go social media. So they'll keep slightly different phrases but saying exactly the same thing. So two or three keywords that again keep mentioning the same thing. So when people do a search up here in the search bar, then social media, if that's what people are searching for, there's a tendency for those people to come out on top.
Is there a way then, because I think there is this big confusion when it comes to actual keywords, isn't it? There is this that you do what you've just said. You do variations on a theme. So, social business, social selling, social this, social that. And everything is preceded with the social. And of course, when somebody puts social in, what comes up is all these derivatives.
And it will highlight where those keywords are in somebody's profile as well. So, it's quite clear that people have added those quite, with a view to being found.
So is there a more effective way then? I mean, or is that cheat, and I'm calling it a cheat, is that cheat just something that you're going to get away with? Or is there a more effective and more powerful way to actually construct that descriptive bit?
I think that the more powerful way is to include those keywords, because again, that's what will be searched. But the more powerful way is to build a stronger, more compelling narrative, almost a story of what you've done and why what your background was. In mine, I've mentioned about my sort of background in sort of advertising. I've given a bit of my story. I've said what it is that I do. I've tried to add what my specialities are, how that all works, how it all knits in and how it fits in. And I think that people, once they see summaries like that, are going to be it's more engaging to read than a whole list of things that are just keywords just for the sake of keywords.
Do you think that what people are trying to do is they're trying to actually sell off the page then? They're trying to think, right, we'll go for the close here and now, as opposed to trying to develop a relationship? Because everybody we talk about when it comes to social media is talking about relationship. It is about conversations. It is a two-way thing. And it seems sometimes that whenever people are writing their websites or developing their websites or doing what they're saying there, where they're describing themselves, they're trying to do a close all the time. Everything is a close.
They are trying to get to that close point quicker, and I think that the beauty now of things like LinkedIn is that people are aware of that, and I think that when you actually connect with somebody on like LinkedIn now, you can tell straight away if somebody's trying to, sort of sell you something. I mean, I'll show you a quick. Well, I probably won't show you this actually because the person won't be happy if I've got their profile up.
Well done.
I just stopped myself there. Essentially, what happened was I connected with somebody day before yesterday, and then yesterday I had 2 messages from this person that kept telling me what they were doing and what their services were, and if I was interested, and all I had to do was call them. And I just thought, well, you asked to connect with me. I evaluated whether I should connect with you based on the content of your profile. They'd taken the time. A lot of people will tend just to do like the default message. I'd like to connect with you here on LinkedIn, which shows no thought or anything else. And this person had taken that time in order to go through that, and in order to take that off and write quite a nice little sort of intro. So I thought, right, I will connect, but I was kind of not prepared for the tsunami of messages that then came back. You
see this on other social networks. You see this on Twitter, don't you? When you follow somebody, and we had a discussion here about this actually the other week. And Linda, who does a lot of our social media work, she sits there and she puts the messages out asking you what you want to hear on the programme and different things like the different topics that Linda brings up. And the situation that we had was that Linda asked the question, is it a case that we should have someone that auto-responds when somebody does follow us, to go back and say thank you for following us? And the advice we were given was, no, don't do that, because that really is not the essence of what this is all about.
I agree entirely.
And there's a bit of me that nearly thinks as well that while Hootsuite is a very powerful tool, it too can be, badly used, incorrectly used.
Totally. And going back to what I said earlier on, I mean, what we try and help our clients with is to actually listen to the social media noise, to tune in to opportunities. And with Hootsuite, just by setting up some very basic searches in like the streams, then you can cut out the noise. You can use what's called Boolean searching. You can do and, ors, nots, so you can put a minus sign in front of a particular word, so you're not going to get that. You can put a minus sign in front of HTTP, which means that it won't show links. You can do froms and tos, so you can search on Hootsuite and also Twitter for tweets from a certain person to a certain person. You can do tweets since. There's a whole lot of quite sophisticated searching that people just think, right, I'm going for my lunch and I'll just tweet that, or I'll just do a quick link to my website. And again, they get to the website, there's nothing for them to do.
Anything when they get there.
Yeah, and it's like, I always kind of describe it as like losing your cat in London and putting a note on a tree in Peru. Nobody is going to do anything. And if somebody in Peru happened to call you or contact you and say, I think I found your cat, you know that they haven't, because
but I suppose all of it, all social media, all media for that matter, actually is a huge amount of media out there, and it sometimes does come as a surprise when people do actually come across you and go, I mean, yesterday I was talking to Rob Holmes. Hello there, Rob. Rob Holmes of Cashflow. And I phoned up Rob on a matter of business. And to my absolute amazement, Rob Holmes, he is a Roku evangelist. Have you come across Roku?
No.
Roku, it's a great way of delivering content to your TV. And Roku, it's a bit like Google Plus or Google Chrome, the thing that plugs in the side of your television, a bit like that. But it is huge in America, and it's growing over here. And we are on Roku. This program, all of them, is on Roku. And he said, yeah, I've seen you on Roku. And he must be the first bloke that A, has said Roku to me, and then secondly said, and I've seen you on it. And I think to myself, that is amazing. But the chance of that happening on an ongoing basis is going to be, he is going to be the exception as opposed to the rule.
I think that most people are now beginning to realise that Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of these are really, really powerful tools, but they're beginning to realise that there's going to have to be some sort of way of kind of taming that tiger and being able to say, okay, with like Twitter, you can now put people into, well, you could always put people into lists. There's no point having everyone's tweet to come into your home stream. It's kind of like watching the credits on a TV programme. You're never going to know, oh, Uncle John's the cameraman, and you're kind of watching to see where his name comes up. It's not going to happen. So you put them into lists. You kind of make little filing cabinets, and it's the same with all of these things. Same with Google Plus. You can actually put people into circles. So you keep the people that you want to be talking to within easily accessible areas. The same with LinkedIn.
Do you think there's any amount of validity to the fact that you have the number of people that are following you or you're following? I mean, I know everybody looks at it as a measure. For instance, when you look at the likes of YouTube, we've gone right off the subject now, haven't we? Yeah. But when you're looking at the likes of YouTube, for instance, our YouTube channel, now there's something like 23,500 views on the channel. There's something in the order of coming up to 450 subscribers. And actually both those measurements are completely meaningless. But yet they are used as a measurement by people that you're talking to. So you sort of say, how big's your audience? Well, there's 450 subscribers. It doesn't make any difference whether there's 450 subscribers or 8,500 subscribers. Surely you want to talk to the maybe 50 or 100 people that give a damn about what you're talking about.
And it's about engagement, Steve. It's about engagement. It's about there's people collect connections on LinkedIn like they collect sweets, and they do nothing with them. And it's pointless. It's like, most of the business that you would probably do is probably within a very short radius of where you currently are. A lot of my clients are around Hemel Hempstead, Berkhamsted, Watford. I've got other clients up and down the country, but it's the people closest to you that you forget. They're the ones that walk past you all day long that possibly could help your business.
But it is this whole element, isn't it, of, this is kind of turned into a little bit to a general discussion on the wheres and whereabouts of how you should deal in business anyway. But Google, to a certain extent, actually does enjoy and does like the fact that it's your local connections, isn't it?
Yeah.
It knows where your PC is that you're searching from. So therefore, wouldn't it be more sensible to put you in touch with people who are local to you?
And I think there's something called the Dunbar number that says that you can only you should to be able to effectively communicate with people. Then you should only ever have 114 close connections, because you can't possibly talk to everybody. You can dibble into a group here, dibble into a group there, but it is about having connections that you're actually having proper, valid conversations with.
Well, listen, I'm hoping your PC is still connected to our big PC in the sky there. So let's talk a little bit more. We were talking about the profile earlier on, and how we should make absolutely certain that we've got a feature-rich or a word-rich profile to make certain that we've done that. So really important, do make absolutely certain that what you do is you make certain that your profile is completely filled in. It really does give a proper summary of what you're all about, because that really is your story. It's a bit like when people say to you, tell me about you. You've got a minute to talk about yourself, 60 seconds. And in that 60 seconds, you mustn't throw away a word, you mustn't throw away a sentence, because every word counts. Every sentence matters. You've got to do the same when you're filling in your profile on LinkedIn. So that fundamentally is probably one of the most important things you've got to remember. But what about the rest of the power of LinkedIn?
The rest of the power of LinkedIn is about searching, and it's about knowing what to do with your connections. Most people, as I said, they have like connections, but what they do is they don't do anything with them. And you can do something called tagging. Mm-hmm. Which means that you can create tags. So essentially you get some default ones, you get some location tags, you get a title, a source and a company tag, but you get, for instance, right, your location tag. It will come up and tell me all the people in Milton Keynes that I am actually connected to. Now you can then message those people. You can actually select all of them, you can message them. If there's, you can send a message up to 50 people in a tag, which is quite a powerful way of introducing them to.
And this is on the standard membership, the standard
free,
membership of LinkedIn.
The standard free membership for LinkedIn. Yeah, it's the same. You could. So you need to untick that, otherwise everyone will see that they've been, everyone will see each other else, which you don't want. Enter a subject, enter a message, and it might be inviting them to a particular event that you're running. So again, you could put a link in there, so it drives people to that event and it messages them, it actually talks to them.
Now, how often do you receive something that's been generated in that particular way? We've had guests on here who have said that what they will do is that they will generate their business by doing that, and because they are members of groups as well, they can send to is that the next stage on, using
the next
groups
stage
as
on,
well. So these are the people that are in your group effectively.
Yeah.
So the next stage on after that, so you can message them.
I can message
them
a
on
tag.
location.
I can create tags. So I could create if we're in Staines. So if I just met 4 or 5 people in Staines and I wanted a quickie, Staines on Thames, of course, and then I would just to make that clear, local council, other Staines are available. You could then put them into a tag, and then you could contact them straight away. If you'd met somebody at a networking event, you might give them that particular tag, and you can then it's a quick, easy way of filing and being able to contact them. I mean, sending out messages, if you actually run a group, then it means that all the people in that group, if you're the group manager, if you own that group, if you run that group, you can then contact those, you can then email those people straight away. So that's a very good way of having, and some people would say, yes, create your own group, because then you then get their email addresses and then you can then market to them. Now, I don't subscribe to that kind of point of view, because you should always download your connections. You should take them off. You should then download them, somewhere safe, because you never know what will happen in terms of LinkedIn. If LinkedIn goes kaboom one day, then you've got 7 million connections on here and you've lost all of their contact details.
I'll tell you what, we're going to do a quick straw poll of the team that are here this evening. Are you all of the team? Are you on LinkedIn? Katie's on buttons, Gordon's on buttons, and Linda's on buttons. So how many of you have actually, out of the 3 of you that are out there, how many of you have downloaded your contacts? And Linda? Nope, none of them.
You should do it on a regular basis, because if you keep getting new contacts, you just go into your connections.
Let's have a look at this on the screen, right?
You go into your connections. In fact, let's just go back to the profile, then I can walk you through the whole thing. Click on your connections. Go into this little coget here. Click on that. Export your LinkedIn connections.
There you go. And that's good.
And that will take it to a CSV file.
Comma separated.
Yeah, comma separated value, which means that you will then see their first name, their last name, their email address, and job title. And
of course, the CSV file will actually go into an Excel file if you want, but quite a lot of the database programs and phone books and that the electronic ones will take a CSV file as a straight file straight in.
Yeah.
What a great way of doing that. And of course, that's going into your personal address book then.
That's going into your LinkedIn connections. That's actually taking your LinkedIn connections and putting them somewhere safe, especially if you're building up relationships with people.
Is that then the biggest reason why you shouldn't just go, yeah, I'll accept that invitation and that one, and here's a few people, do you know them? Yeah, I know. Yeah, why not?
I think, again, we've moved on from the early days.
We're looking at numbers, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're looking at numbers.
You know, it's like, what's that saying about turnover is flattery? Yeah, I've got 74,200 connections, Steve. Yeah, look at me. It means nothing. If I'm only talking to 2 of them, then it's pointless having the rest of them.
They're the 2 most important.
Those are the 2 most important ones. And a lot of people forget that, having loads of connections is great. It is good because it means that you get found. It's back to the F words. If you're part of a big pond and you've got first, second and third connections, then you are going to be able to find people. You will have more searchability, if you like. And people will be able to find you because you are connected via other people. There's a great argument to say that you should find a super connector from your particular sector, from your industry sector. If it was Richard Branson, for instance, connect with Richard Branson, because automatically you've got all of his connections as part of your pond, as part of your searchability, if you like.
So it really is, it's about using it intelligently as opposed to the shotgun effect or buckshot, so that you think you're hitting everything.
Yeah.
So is that the reason then, do you think some people become so disenchanted with it? That
I think
just
a lot
not
of
using it properly.
People just don't use it properly. I mean, I put a post up very, very recently.
Now these are very powerful posts, aren't they?
These are very powerful. And I mean, it just says LinkedIn doesn't work for me anymore. And I wrote it having spoken to lots of different people. But 850 people have actually seen this. 58 likes and 30 comments. Now, at the end of the day, that's no big deal. But all of my posts combined, it comes up with quite a lot of people. So all of my posts combined, we're talking, 3,500, 600, 700, 6, 8, 3, 4. And out of those, I've had, I think, 50 plus comments. I'm actually talking to 2 of them now about being able to help people. So that's business that's been driven from a post. In fact, tomorrow morning, I'm actually seeing somebody that posted on one of these posts, and the comment from that person, I'm not saying male or female, I've got to be very careful here, that person, was quite flabbergasted because they were unaware of the power that, sort of LinkedIn has. And just this new publishing thing is just phenomenal. It just brings out, it allows you to get in front of people that possibly you wouldn't ever get in front of before. And the good thing is here that I can go into I can go into the people that have actually liked this post
and respond directly to them.
And I can then respond directly to them. So I can message, and some of these people are second connections.
Now, how do you go about exactly putting one of those posts up there? Is it a difficult thing to do?
Very, very simple. You will know that you're allowed to do it by simply going into your home page, and if you've got this pencil icon in your then you can then create a post. And
it's as straightforward
as simple as that. You get a whole framework there. You get all of this. You can add images. You can add links.
Can you do links? You can do photographs.
You can do links,
video,
photographs. You could put a video in there as well, I'm sure.
Does this kind of replace what they kind of did when they got rid of the business pages, where you could put, where it was trying to be all things to all men, wasn't it? It was a place that a business could post videos, they could post blogs. It was trying to be everything, and they just seemed to cut it down in size a little bit, didn't they?
They have. I mean, you've now got just a company page, and you've now got what's called showcase pages. Now, the showcase pages are really powerful because this has kind of replaced, but not quite. I think in the minds of people, they know that the brands and the products tab has gone, and people haven't really migrated across with any great extent, I don't think, to the showcase pages aspects. Because on these...
Now, it shows your showcase page that you've got there then, okay, so we're looking at it.
I've got 22 followers on a showcase page that I don't update as often as I should. So, 3 impressions. It's not huge. The point is, though, that this is very SEOable. So LinkedIn strategy, only I will ever be able to own that. No one else can have that. So if you're savvy enough, one of the things, again, if you're trying to, going back to the cheating, inverted commas, dark art side of it, you're allowed up to 10 showcase pages. So you
could be very savvy with the 10 titles. You could make them
very
keyword
savvy.
rich.
You could make them location and keyword rich. If you are a plumber in Hounslow, then you could put plumbing Hounslow plumber. If nobody else has got it, take that as a showcase page.
And of course, that is going to show up then in the Google searches.
That will come up in the Google searches. That
then gets supported as well by the Google Plus and locations and everything like that.
It all helps. It's all Google juice, and it all helps that particular company to be able to be seen on what's effectively, the internet. And again,
can I just say something as well, that since we've been on the air and you mentioned about downloading your LinkedIn connections, Linda has.
Oh, right.
So there you go. It's worked for Linda, so that's really good.
But I think that the fundamental thing that people do get wrong is the fact that they do not create tags. They do not create tags. Just
go through the process of the tags once again, just to remind people, because I want us to talk about groups. We are extending the programme ever so slightly.
You go in and you can then actually, well, put it this way. Let's actually go and have a quick look at somebody. Let's go into my profile. Let's go into my hometown, Berkhamsted. And this will then, that search then will bring up all the people that I'm connected to in Berkhamsted, or it's really, sort of Hemel Hempstead. And that's 103,000, nearly 104,000 people that I'm connected to. So, the whole thing about buying mailing lists, really...
Why bother?
Why bother? I've got 104,000 people that I could invite round for a cup of tea tomorrow.
So,
I wouldn't.
If you were to put something together for local businesses in Hemel Hempstead and Berkhamsted, if you were to do that and you were to use that to communicate with them, what do you think, first of all, the drop-off rate is? How many people will open that correspondence that comes from LinkedIn that you've sent? Well, what's the normal figures? What's the analytics that they say behind that?
Well, HubSpot recently put something out to say that people are 7 times more likely to open an email that comes from LinkedIn, because it has authority, it has credibility, rather than from your own email. So yes, you could be.
That's incredible, because a normal mail shot, we're talking 1-2%, aren't we? If we're lucky.
If
and all
we're
of a sudden,
lucky.
And then an email marketing. That's a degree higher, but to have something that's got a 7 times more chance of being opened.
Statistically, yeah. But and I think that I tend to respond to LinkedIn messages more than I would a normal email. Because again, I can see that somebody's taken the time to to write a sort of personal message, to include what they're asking me to go and look at. But again, I'll always look at it. I'll always look at it. But going back into, as I said, second connections, and this is a little trick that people don't realise either. Now, James. And I'm sorry, James, if you're watching this, I don't know you, but I'll try and connect with you later. Now, he is not one of my connections right now, so I can't, so I don't. But if you save to contacts, I then get this brilliant CRM relationship box. All first degree contacts have it, but you can also then do it with second degree contacts by actually putting them, saving them as a contact. So then in there automatically I can now tag James, and I might want to create a brand new tag. You're allowed, I think, 200 tags. So I might just want to call it new business Quainton. I'll just call it that for now. Bang. So he is now tagged in NBQ. Sounds like a shopping channel.
It does, doesn't it?
It does.
I'll buy whatever you're selling.
I think I've stumbled on something. But so then he's tagged forevermore as MBQ, and in here I can add a note how I met him. I can set myself a reminder. So LinkedIn will tell me in a week's time to call James, or to make sure that I find out something more about him, or to do, it's a call to action. that LinkedIn will actually email me and tell me to do that.
I mean, that really is a very, very powerful tool
Hugely
to have,
powerful.
isn't it?
And again, people tend to forget about, or a lot of people don't know that it's there.
Is it because so many things are interrelated to each other that it becomes a little bit circular or cyclic and therefore becomes slightly confusing? You just lose your way a wee bit.
I think that,
or is it a case of it's just a little bit too much hassle?
Too much hassle.
Too much work.
I think that people suffer from mammoth social media overwhelm. You know, and there are gurus, gnoos, whatever you want to call them out there. But basically, you know, they would tell you that you've got to post 17,000 things a week and you've got to do this, you've got to do that. But if you're doing everything that you're being instructed to do, then really you shouldn't be able to go to bed, ever. Because there's so much information. I mean, we're information rich, time poor. Wasn't it? Ages ago, God, years ago, I just read this. There is more information in one edition of like the Sunday Times than the average person in the 17th century would have seen in their lifetime.
Gosh.
And we are getting Sunday
and we
Time.
are bombarded with it.
We are bombarded
even
with
more
it.
so.
Even more so now. And there's an argument to say that physiologically and neurologically we're not capable of assimilating all of this information.
Do you feel sometimes that there is nearly an element of desperation when it comes to social media, that we're desperate to be successful with it,
yeah,
and we all fail to a certain degree?
I think that the realistic view of social media is that it's a great tool. It's a great tool. But in the old days, we were talking about marketing. You know, it was called selling by yelling. You know, they were called soaps because Unilever, Procter & Gamble could afford to put their ads into Coronation Street or whatever. And, you know, they were called soaps because they were powered and fueled and by the big soap people. And the whole point of social media was that it was supposed to be a levelling of the playing field where the little guy could compete with the big guy, because technically, and if you actually think about it, if you put a message out onto Twitter, then anybody anywhere should be able to find you by doing a simple search, as I said earlier. But that's not kind of working anymore.
It's a bit like the websites as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
A website for a small company can have the same impact as for a large company. Yeah. Sitting side by side, they could look they can look at the same quality. But you know, one's a multi-million-pound organisation and one's running from a bedroom.
And also it's the, you know, how much SEO is behind there. You know, how much does a big corporation pay to do that? You know, how much do people pay for their AdWords account to find your small business? You know,
right.
so
now we've got to move on. Now we've talked a lot about. We've talked profiles, we've talked about tagging, and we've talked about we've kind of skirted on groups a wee bit. Let's talk a little bit about groups.
Let's go into a group. Groups are a very, very powerful way of actually getting to, you know, the people that you want, you know, who actually fit your business avatar. So if you are looking for particular people, then, you know, you would join a group that you could possibly do business with the people in that group. The great mistake that people make is they go in their own peer group. So if you're an accountant, you go into an accountancy group.
Why do you want to do that? They're not going to be customers, are they?
They're never going to be customers. And people go on LinkedIn and they don't think about where their customers are. You know, this is a local. This is like Hertfordshire Chamber of Commerce. It's a closed group which I'm a member of. The good thing is that I can now look.
Just explain a closed group to us. What does that mean? Does that mean you've got to apply?
Yeah,
and then you're allowed in?
Yeah. I mean, and so that way round, it means that you then, you know, you can't just join it. Basically, you've got to have something in common. You know, you either got to be part of the Hertfordshire Chamber of Commerce, or you've got to be a Hertfordshire-based business in order to do it. And the managers and the people that look after them are actually fairly flexible, but you know, most of the people actually are what they are.
Let me ask you, because you're an ex-marketing guy, you're an ex-advertising guy. The way things are right now with you, here comes the crunchy question to go, I don't know.
Don't know, Steve.
Don't know. But do you see an increase then in true local sales for you? Because everybody harps on about local SEO. We're talking here that, you know, the group to be a member of is your local group. for local people. Like the local shop will have no trouble here.
Yeah.
But you know, so it's all of those things, isn't it? And do you though see that as what it does it work for you, the fact that it's local, or do you actually see that you really still want a countrywide exposure?
I mean, I think a countrywide exposure is good, but I think that there's a lot more people that you could be doing business with locally. I mean, certainly, and you can search for them quite easily. And, you know, there's no point going miles away to find people. You know, the whole search function here on, you know, sort of LinkedIn is kind of geared towards you finding people wherever you want to go. I mean, if I put my postcode in here, HP4, and do 25 miles and put marketing director. If ever you've got any two words, always put them in inverted commas, because it will search just for that term.
All right, so that kind of it's the whole term.
So it's the whole term,
for,
and
right?
a lot of people, when they search on Google, they'll just put marketing director. So what it's looking for is marketing and director. So you're going to get a lot of good stuff back anyway, but you're not going to get. People ask Google for stuff, and you should tell Google what you want. There's advanced search features on a standard Google, something called verbatim, which allows you to look directly to it.
A quick bit of advice then for people that are using Google: do you do the inverted commas or do you do marketing plus director?
I would do inverted commas as one search and then do another search to see what else comes up. But yeah, be as precise as you can.
It's a little bit of Boolean algebra going on there.
Boolean algebra.
Boolean algebra, yes.
And as I call it, Googlean searching.
Googlean searching.
A bit of Google and Boolean.
All right.
So I've now got 306 results for marketing directors, 10 miles radius of where I am currently based, my postcode. How good is that? And
could you, even though they're not following you and you're not following them, could you message them?
If they are following me, yes, I can. If they're not, like Brian here, for instance, I could connect with him there, but dangerous, because that will just send a standard message out. I won't be able to personalise it, so he'll get something in his inbox. What I would probably do is I'd have a look at his profile.
Hiya, Brian.
I'd see who. Hi, Brian. I'd see how we're connected. And I might ask one of these to kindly introduce me.
What you do sometimes find, though, is that when you go to the people who are there that you're connected by, you talk to them, and of course, depending on how well they look after their LinkedIn, they go, never heard of him.
Yeah, or they'll go, I'll get on that tomorrow, Ang. And then, you know, 3 years later, you're waiting by the phone.
But is there a way around that, or are you then reduced to sending a connect request?
You are then reduced to sending a connect request. You could actually go to the group. So I could find a group that I shared with Brian, for instance, and as a group member, I could send him a message and say, hi, Brian, your name has come up in a search, and we have a few people that we share, you know, sort of common, you know, that we are connected to. I'd very much like to send you a connection request. Is that okay?
And this is the power of groups, isn't it? The fact that you
can do that.
You can find somebody who is within a group, and if you are a member of that group, you can now contact them. You can
contact them through the messaging, but you can't, as I've said before, if I now went to connect with Brian, what they've done is they've taken away the group option from in there. So, you know, what I do is I tend to say, we have done business together. I choose, and I say, well, clearly we haven't. Brian, we haven't done business together yet, but I'd very much like to connect with you because of X, Y, and Z. We share several contacts, and I'd very much like to get in contact with you.
And when you do that, the success rate, because you're doing this for other businesses as well, so when you do that, the success rate of doing that is what?
I mean, we get, it's very high. I mean, and it varies from sector to sector, but most people, if you're polite, it's kind of like anything. If somebody's asking you politely to do something, you are going to take that on board, and you're probably going to consider it. And if there's no downside to it, if there's no pain kind of associated with connecting and actually saying yes, then 9 times out of 10 we find that people actually do it. And
now,
once they're a connection, you can then start talking to them.
Now, we've worked our way through profile, making certain that's right. We've talked to ourselves about tagging individuals. We've talked about downloading our contact list that we've got there. We've talked also about making absolutely certain that really we're not just saying yes to everybody, because then it just becomes, you may as well just type in the local telephone directory into your contacts list, because you don't really know these people and they have no real interest in you, and you probably have no real interest in them. We've talked about groups as being a method and a direction that we can go where we can actually contact people, and we can narrow in on them. So we're looking at job title, we can search on job title, we can search on business and on company, and we can actually narrow in on them as well. What are the other key killer things? And we're kind of coming to the end, but what would be the other key killer function of LinkedIn that you would say, and the one thing you mustn't forget you can do this with?
Well, the one thing that people don't do is to use this area here, which is like the update area, and from there I could now message you, thanks @Steve. You start typing. Oh no, you don't. You've changed your name. How fast?
Jane.
How fast you move.
The secret is out.
How fast you move.
I should be there because I did actually respond back.
No, you're not coming up. But let's just say.
Say we did.
Say we did.
Say my name was
Steve Windsor.
Yeah.
I don't know why that didn't come up. I could say thank you very much. Lovely evening. Da-di-da-di-da. I could then share it to the public, my connections, or to LinkedIn and Twitter. And what happens is that LinkedIn will find that person's Twitter address and it'll be posted on Twitter. So you will also get a notification here as well. So it's a quick way of thanking people to say, very, very good meeting today, and just to acknowledge them, really.
Now, have you linked up with this to Business Connections? Just type in thanks Business Connections Live.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that.
Yeah, just to see if that actually works. No, we fail miserably again.
Well, there you are. There you are.
At the top, there we are. Yeah, hurrah! Right. It's. And now, how quickly will it actually happen? Will that Twitter up? Let's see how quickly that.
So if I now share that on Twitter as well, that should go straight through. So that should then come up on Twitter fairly quickly. And if I go to Hootsuite, and if I then look at Business Connect, that's not come up yet. So this is now Hootsuite.
So there's Hootsuite, and there it is at the
Yeah.
there's all the
there's all of you. So
that's
all
me.
the mentions
I've been
of
quite
you.
busy.
Yeah. And again, people forget that these are you can have 10 streams coming into each tab. You can do
Hootsuite, a powerful tool to use.
Very, very powerful. Very powerful.
Would you recommend any particular plugins for it?
I would recommend that people go the pro route.
Right.
Because that means you get some analytics.
Yep.
So you'll know who's looked at that note from your cat being lost in Peru. You'll find you can then do lots of other things. You get suggested content as well. You get lots of features. On a free feature, you can only have 5 social media platforms, but for the pro one,
we are using Hootsuite and we find it absolutely invaluable.
Yeah.
I tell you what, we're nearly at the end of the show. And we've whistled through, and I'm a little bit worried about that we didn't touch all the subjects that we hoped to touch.
But
it just goes to show you, I think, how vast and how large LinkedIn is. And not only that, we're slightly overrun as well. Tell you what I will do, though. I'll tell you a little bit about some of the things that are coming up. Don't forget the Business Show 2014. That's the 27th and the 28th of November 2014. All sorts of key people are going to be there. The UK's biggest exhibition for anyone starting or growing a business. There's some of the keynote speakers. We've got Richard Reed. He's going to be talking, a Q&A with him. Innocent Drinks founder. Life's Just Got Easier with the infamous Brad Burton. What a great bloke. James Cahn's there, My Business Secrets. The former Dragon's Den star will be headlining the Keynote Theatre. Got David Gold, Rachel Headland, Clive Rich because he is, Kate Hardcastle, and a whole host of other people. And as I said, we're going to be there too, for that matter. We're going to be on stand 320. If you go to our website, businessconnectionslive.com, you will find that there is a place where you can get yourself some free tickets. There is the web address. All you got to do is contact us. If you want to email us as well for further information, you can do that. If you'd like a program just like this one, or maybe not just like this one, but if you would like a program like this one, then please do get in touch with us at that email address, studio@businessconnectionslive.com, or of course you can always give us a call and ask for Steve or for Linda on 01784 256 777. It really is as straightforward and as easy as that. And don't forget, if you are watching us on YouTube, maybe not the live program, but you're watching us on YouTube, then don't forget to subscribe. There's a little thing, just press on that right now. Subscribe to us right now. What we're looking for is it would be rather nice if we had 1,000 subscribers, because the program has been put together especially for you, and that's what's so important about the show. So see us at the Business Show 2014, 27th, 28th. Subscribe to us on YouTube. What else can I tell you to do? Oh, make certain that you're watching next Wednesday night, when we're going to be live once again at 6 o'clock. Now, before we go tonight, Angus Grady of Optimised Media is going to, well, give us the key things that we need to remember, the key things that we need to know, the key things that we should be considering when it comes to LinkedIn. So, Andrew, Angus, what I'd like you to do is to take a breath, say who you are.
Angus Grady.
Yeah, but when I tell you.
I know, Jake.
And then straight down camera number 1. That's the camera that would like you to deliver this little speech to, and that would be fantastic.
Thank you.
So I'm just going to ask our team, is that in the way, or shall I? Oh, we're close with this.
Yeah.
We'll close that and I'll move this one like that. There we go.
Yes,
the airwaves are all yours. Take that breath and say who you are. Straight down number 1.
Yes, Angus Grady from Optimised Media. And I think that the key thing to take away from tonight is the fact that get your profile fully optimised. Your headline, your sort of summary area, put some rich sort of media in there. Make sure you've got a clear call to action in your experience section as well. Make sure that you use your keywords in there as well. Try to remember to tag people, because that's a great way of sort of communicating with people. And social selling is about engagement. It's about building relationships. We're no longer in the cold calling phase. We've got to think about how we can then take that relationship offline, so you get a meeting and build connections, but build them sensibly, and build them with sort of politeness, and try and think about what you would like to receive as an invitation. Use your groups, make sure your company page is set up, and link your personal profile to your company page. A must do that we didn't have the chance to do. I think that technology kind of got in the way a little bit there, but I mean, yeah. Those are the key takeouts. And of course, contact me, connect with me. Just go into my profile, send me a connection, and just say that you watched the programme tonight, and happy to connect. And anything I can do to help, my phone number's on there, my Twitter address is on there, please feel free to get in contact.
Fantastic. Another great show, another fantastic show, in fact. And don't forget, do go to the website. Over 60 hours of fantastic content for you if you are a small to medium scale enterprise, a small business, an entrepreneur or a solopreneur. We look forward to maybe talking to you over the next couple of days. Listen, from all the team here, it's been an absolute hoot this evening. We've had a lot of fun. I can promise you that. And we'll do it all again next Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. So from everybody here, pressing the buttons and also sitting behind the desk, we look forward to taking care of your business next week. Can I just thank you very much
Pleasure.
For your time.
And I've always wanted to do this. Good night.
He's done it. I've done it. We've done it. Hey, we'll see you next week at 6. Bye for now. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
If you're a business owner and you need advice on how to make your business more successful, then Business Connections Live TV is just for you.
Our leading industry experts cut out the guesswork for growing businesses. How to use social media, what to expect from your accountant, web design, SEO, and so much more.
Business Connections Live TV is here to give you the motivation you need to succeed.
How you doing? My name is Brad Burton. I'm the motivational speaker that everyone's talking about right now, and I'm on Business Connections Live. What a show! What a show! People, do check it out.
If you're struggling with Facebook and LinkedIn.
Most people that I meet are on LinkedIn. Virtually, there's 14.5 million people just in the UK. I think the figures currently are 238 million people worldwide. But I would say that most of them don't really understand how to use it.
How to present your ideas more effectively.
Hello, I'm Philip Skinner, Shaw Walker Lees. A brilliant way to get message across. I'm actually thinking that we might switch away from our quarterly newsletter to do a video and get it sent through to staff and clients.
To generating leads and finding new business.
Hi, I'm Jim McLaughlin, Managing Director of business development company Axial, and I'd just like to say what a pleasure it's been to have the opportunity to appear on Business Connections Live.
Subscribe and be part of the Business Connections Live TV online community for free.
Business Connections Live TV every Wednesday 6 p.m. GMT, or catch up on the Business Connections Live TV YouTube channel.
Make certain your business is connected with Business Connections Live TV.